was Ghostbusters Afterlife. We've been waiting for you to review this movie because how can we discuss Ghostbusters without our resident Ghostbuster?
Well, it's about to hit digital platforms. I think actually it's about to come out on video here within the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I actually think it's available on Amazon now, but it's like $20 a pop.
It's worth it. Here's the warning, and I'm going to tell you outright, bring it to somehow got their grubby little mitts into this and made me cry. And I mean, it was an ugly cry. I'm a man. I can admit it. It's an ugly cry. And just getting choked up now thinking about it. We hosted the big release at Alamo Draft House for the Colorado Ghostbusters. The whole team was present. We had ectos. We took pictures. You can go to Colorado Ghostbusters Facebook page and you can see them. We have new members. It was a great time. Everybody loved the film. Some of the members had already seen it 4 or 5 times at that point, and we're still ugly crying through most of it. It is Reitman. Jason Reitman, it's in his wheelhouse. It pulls on all the heartstrings. It hits all the keynotes. This is a good movie. This is a solid movie. It's a tearjerker, and I know there's a lot of hating. It's fine. You can hate it. You can nitpick it. But you know what? At the end, I walked out happy. I walked out looking for somewhere to blow my nose, and Aaron was the closest person. I feel bad for him.
No, you don't.
And it's good. It really is a good film.
So I know that when this movie was first being, all the previews were released, the big push was we're all going to go see this for the nostalgia factor.
Yes.
Right? And that's why we all wanted to go and see this. Nostalgia, we all love the Ghostbusters, and they were hitting us all in the soft and gooey bits. And not the naughty gooey bits, the soft gooey bits. And so when we went and saw it, we were expecting just to have that nostalgia, hey, it's fun, it's light, and you do have those moments.
Yes,
but that's not what the movie is.
No, we got sucker punched. I mean, it sets up so much, and it really. And I'm going to give a little few spoilers out at this point because
at this point it's fine.
I think it's fine at this point, but Spangler doesn't make it. I know that comes as a surprise to a lot of you since Spangler is not with us any longer, but Spangler doesn't make it. Hashtag Spangler's a goner. And when you're watching this, it really hits home because Jason Reitman is the son of Ivan Reitman, who did the original Ghostbusters. Ivan Reitman suits up for this film, and he plays Harold Ramis's parts. So in the special effects and everything, everyone was wondering who's standing in for Harold. It's Ivan. So you hear these moments that come through, especially when they're making the film and they're revisiting. Bill Murray is like, these kids got it easy. Their packs are light. Our packs had actual car batteries in them. I mean, there was a lot of love and feels all around this set. Even at the end, there's 2 post-credit scenes. One is a cut scene from the original Ghostbusters. This wasn't a reshoot or anything like this. This was a cut scene that never made the film. And I've seen it before, but now it brings on an entirely different context and how they present this moment. And then there's another one where it's Ernie as Winston sitting with Janine, and they're talking about their roles as Ghostbusters. And they're like, of course, Ray is the heart of the Ghostbusters. Egon was the brain. Venkman made us cool. And then I was the one that always was prepared. And, he wasn't going to let the chance go. So there's some really good moments. We get to see the Ecto in an entirely new light. And I know it's a rehash of the Gozer story. and they act kind of like the second film didn't happen, but it doesn't fit with the story because it's not integral to Gozer, and that's why we don't really touch on the second film. There's touches on it, especially with Ray's bookstore, the proverb on Revelations, the tattoo. Evidently, some of the Ghostbusters are getting the actual tattoo. They found the script, and they're going to get the Revelations script tattooed on their arms, just like Ray now.
Yeah.
Because Papa Ackroyd does it, we have to do it too.
Duh.
But I mean, it's really good, and Paul Rudd is Paul Rudd. He's perfect. We get to see the little twisted Marshmallow Man, which worked out brilliantly. I really liked this movie. I really did, and it's not even my fact that I'm a Ghostbuster or fan of the films. This is a good movie. This is right in Reitman's wheelhouse. In fact, if you've watched the commercial with the snowman and the little girl that was shot on an iPhone,
mm-hmm.
That's Reitman. That's Jason Reitman's commercial. So I mean, the man just knows how to just make you cry, man. But yeah, Spangler doesn't make it. Sorry, guys. I hate to break that to you.
I mean, honestly, I feel like if you like this movie, because like I like the movie, but if you like the movie, it says something because Ghostbusters are so important to you.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's a very integrated part of the nerd culture and where I was when I saw this in the theater. Yes, that's right. I saw this in the theater, and it wasn't just a wee young little fledgling. I was,
And by this, he means the original Ghostbuster movie.
The original Ghostbusters. I'm,
I don't think I was alive.
I'm sure you weren't, Tank.
He was still just a twinkle in an ovary.
But I mean, it Jace right when it hit, and when you think about the '80s and the impact, I mean, you've got Ghostbusters, you've got Back to the Future, you've got, I mean, this great run of films in the '80s that just resonate, and each one has its own impact on the different nerd culture. So
absolutely,
Jason take what his father built and what Aykroyd built and what Harold built, and to elevate it back into even a stronger sense, it's touching. I mean, and he dedicates this to his dad. He said this one was for you. When we went to the Ghostbusters anniversary on Sony's lot for Ghostbusters 35, Jason flat right out said, "Dad, this is for you. We're doing this. I'm doing this for you."
And there's a talk about making a sequel to this film.
So the film is killing it, and it's not just because there's nothing else out, but I think it's more than, okay, so when we're doing the screening, we have families. I see guys my age and older bringing their kids, their grandkids to see this film. And it dominated, it destroyed, and people came back. I saw people all 3 nights that we were at the Alamo hosting. I saw the same group of people each time. So it wasn't just the once and they were done. They came back and they continued to. The final scene, the post-credit scene, is the containment unit with a red blinking light. And this is the firehouse in New York. So there is a very good chance that we will see a sequel. And the way Jason wrote this and ended it, it really does look like a sequel. Aykroyd has said that he wants to keep the franchise going where they kind of appear in the ongoing films until they just physically are unable to.
It's all about the cameos for them at this point.
It really is. And I mean, Bill Murray is Bill Murray. I know the film means a lot to him, especially after Harold passed and the situation with them. Also, Bill Murray is very cantankerous in how he works. He shows up when he shows up, but he's always prepared. So it's delicate in Bill Murray. Will he show? Will he not show? If he says he does, he will. So, and of course, Ernie's going to be there. Ernie is not going to miss out because he's been the one, champion through the good and the bad times for Ghostbusters. So I don't see Ernie, especially with his role in this film, going away anytime soon.
Well, and Aykroyd's been saying that for a decade at this point, that he wants the Ghostbusters to live on. And he wants the new generation to exist.
And it will. I mean, you got Ghost Corps, which is a firm foothold not only for the films, but it's also for the franchises like us, who, you know, get our stuff through. We get our information through. Ghost Corps is very vital and our lifeline as a franchise. So I don't see this going away. And now that Jason has his hands on it, I don't think he's going to let it go. I mean, I think he had too much fun with this. I really do. And it is fun. I mean, there's some shit in there that I'm like, that's just wrong. There's this scene with the Marshmallow Men, and it is so wrong. But it cracks me up. It's great. So,
and this is why you've seen it so many times.
I have. I've seen it 3 times. Twice with the team, once by myself. I couldn't get a date. It was really weird. No one wanted to go see it with me, so I went by myself.
You didn't ask either of us.
Well, it was just in a weird time, and
whatever. Excuses.
Tank's in the spring. And Tank, by the way, we did our toy drive where we were all dressed as Ghostbusters. Ryan Yates said to say hello. He said he sang your praises.
Oh, I haven't seen Ryan in a couple of years. That's good to hear.
Yeah. His little ones are grown, and now he's got new little ones, so it's nice.
I say, yeah. God, its older ones are teenagers at this point.
Yep. So Yakes and I talked about getting the band back together, and he brought you up, and he sang your praises, and he was glad to see you doing well.
Speaking of singing the praises of Tank, Mom popped on and says, "It's good to see you laugh, Tank. She loves her baby boy." Tank will always be my mother's baby boy. It doesn't matter. He is married into the family and Mom's favorite, other than my other in-law, who is also, you know, married into the family. Mom's 2 favorite children married in.
Very nice.
So, yeah, my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law are Mom's 2 favorite kids. But she does say hi to you too, Smurf.
Oh, we'll tell her hello. So the film is worth it. It continues the lineage. We don't worry about the Saturday Night Live skit that we call a Ghostbusters film. Ghostbusters 2 is lightly hinted on, but it does skip over the video game stuff. So if you're a stickler about the video game actually being the 3rd sequel, it may or may not work. They still hint the franchises, but it all works. It works out in the end.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and go to another long-awaited sequel, and that was the Matrix movie.
I think they got some Inception to my Matrix this time.
So we watched it at home because it was on HBO Max, and I only fell asleep during it 3 times.
I didn't fall asleep.
I wish I could have.
But the part that surprised me, and the reason that
parts of it surprised you
watching, was Jonathan Groff as Agent Smith.
Okay,
somehow that captured my attention because of his weird little things that you hinted at, that you kind of saw that Hugo Weaving performance in a completely different body, and I'm like, that is actually impressive that he was able to make me feel that way.
Okay.
He was the best part of Matrix.
Oh, yeah, by far.
My biggest takeaway from the Matrix movie was, and you can ask my new fiance about this. Yeah, that's not going to get old anytime soon. And I like to show off the ring to everybody. I was like, Jonathan Groff and Neil Patrick Harris were on screen together, and there was no singing or dancing.
And it was still entertaining.
Okay, I won't go that far.
No, them together was entertaining.
Them together was...
Neil Patrick Harris is a goofball.
Oh, yeah.
Played up.
I freaking love him. I've gotten to meet him. He's fabulous. I love when he does magic.
His over-the-top, zany analyst just called back to the old B movie villains so perfectly in some ways.
Yeah, but seriously, my biggest takeaway from this entire movie was you have these two theater icons on screen, and all they're doing is just. I was so disappointed.
Honestly, I wish they would have sang. I wish they would have done something. Neil Patrick Harris as a villain is lame. It's stupid. It's a waste of the man's talents.
That was the whole point of Dr. Horrible.
I know, but I don't need my Dr. Horrible in my Matrix.
Absolutely.
No, this is horrible. This is a bad idea. This is the generic cereal that you get at King Soopers. This is god awful. Why?
It didn't even have marshmallows.
Neil Patrick Harris is a marshmallow, and I got no rainbow out of it. I was really pissed off. Okay, it just didn't work.
You know what the depressing part is?
What?
The reason it didn't work was 100% because the storyline sucked. The actors didn't do a bad job.
No.
The actors were fine. They played their parts well. I'd say across the board, I don't really have any glaring issues with the acting. It was the story was so pointless and derivative. It was like, why are we doing this?
Yeah. We have a viewer who just said a song and dance act would have made it not as terrible.
Agreed. I think it would have been great if Neo was tied to a chair and the two of them like danced around him and sang him a happy song. That would have been, and just to see Deja Vu like transform into the Mangelinian, just for the sake of it, because I love the Mangelinian. I was excited to see him. The rehash of the fight was okay, but that would have been hilarious to me. The Mangelinian was Deja Vu. He transformed and he played the spoons while the other two sang to Neo.
That would have been funny. Actually.
See, any of these things would have made it better.
Yes.
See, and Matt, who is the one who said the song and dance act would have made it not as terrible, doesn't even like musical theater. So that's a big thing coming from him.
You know, I honestly was expecting some kind of Tony's Awards demonstration at some point. Because
especially
you're in the Matrix.
With those two.
It was just
bleh.
It really was. And I know that like everyone's like, well, it preaches against capitalism, which you're wrong. I hate to break that to you, but you missed that point. It's not about capitalism. It's about loss and the environment that people are in now. You're afraid to lose what you have, but you want everything else. It's not about capitalism being bad. It's about fear and control. Just what the Matrix always been about. I really hate to break that to you guys, but that's the meaning.
Yeah, it's the brains and vats. It's your existential crisis.
I've seen these threads, and it's driving me nuts. Like, capitalism is bad. No, capitalism gives you a job so you can eat.
All right, we have a suggestion. Agent Smith should have, and Neil Patrick Harris should have sung "You'll Be Back" to Neo.
Agreed.
Since they figured that he was going to choose to go back and plug himself back in, it would have been perfect.
Yeah, it was a very boring movie.
Yeah, like I said, fell asleep a couple of times.
The only thing that kept me engaged was the small, brilliant acting parts.
Yeah, JonathanGroff.
Something happened because of the acting.
What my biggest gripe, and this movie really missed a lot of marks, is I don't know how many boxes we were trying to check, but all of them evidently needed to be checked. And nobody died. Not a single freaking character died. You're playing for all the marbles. The big enchilada. Not a single fucker died. What the hell?
I'm surprised.
that one.
I figured There would have been a couple. Like I figured Jada would have been iced. I figured, one of the 5 side characters that wasn't, integral to the story would have lost it.
No,
I guess technically Morpheus is technically dead.
well, the closest thing we get to death is computer programs that get turned off.
But then they come back.
Right.
Evidently, that's short-lived because everybody was back and nobody, even Smith, he was in a better body, didn't want to go under the leash, and still came back and kicked everybody's ass and didn't die. Morpheus died of natural causes, but his program lives on in little magnetic dots.
And that's the thing, he died before the movie started.
Yes. So we didn't even lose him. We already lost him. Natural causes.
Yeah, everybody else that was there, like Switch and Tank and all that, they're just dead because it's been 60 years apparently.
Yeah.
60 years. Shit starts falling off. Things start failing. My liver would probably outlive all of them, but that is besides the point.
That's only because you keep it so well preserved with all of the boozamahal.
I legitimately thought Jada was going to die.
I honestly thought she was too. I thought she was going to try and bring in the cavalry, show how badass she was, save Neo's ass again. Nope, she stayed in the cave
the entire time,
bitching and moaning and I don't want to do that because I'm old and I don't do that.
What a glaring misuse of Christina Ricci.
Yeah.
That.
Huh?
She didn't have any impact on it at all.
No. So another take on it is Groff's take of calling Neo Tom was great.
I loved that. Trying to demean him, just
even more.
Giving one Mr. Anderson and then the rest of the time, Tom. Hey, Tom.
Yeah, Christina Ricci was in the movie. That's how important her character was.
Yeah, most people don't realize that. At first I didn't even notice it. Then I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I forgot. Oh yeah, that was pointless.
Yep, she was there for all of I think 3 minutes on screen.
It's
She's still a problem with it. Her head has gotten larger, I think, or her neck has gotten smaller. I don't know which.
Her head's probably gotten larger. I think her body's been the same since she was Wednesday. So
yeah, could be.
Yes, since Wednesday. What else we got, Bobby?
All right. So other things going on in the movies. Spider-Man, Far From Home, Never Coming Home, Return From Home. What the fuck was this one called? No Way Home. I don't know. They all have names that are so similar. I can't keep them all straight.
There was so much brilliance in this movie that unfortunately got lost in weird plot holes. That's the issue that I end up coming out of it. It's the same issue I'm guessing most people have, and it's you have these weird cliffs that the story just falls off at certain parts. But it made me like Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, so that's interesting.
Spider-Man.
I'm saying I liked him as Spider-Man 4. He made me like him as Peter Parker.
Okay.
I didn't believe him as Peter Parker in the first 2 movies he was in.
Right.
This, I totally believe it. I get it. He's Peter Parker. He's the darker version of Peter Parker, but he's Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm.
And God, they did a great job with the Goblin, finally, making him look like the Goblin from the comic books.
I did like William Dafoe suiting up and doing all of the stunts, all of the work, doing a very impressive Goblin. Like you said, they gave him how they made him look like the Goblin with the hood.
Oh yeah.
Just the costuming alone on him was so good. It reminded me of when they reimagined him in the new suit and with Humberto had redone him a bit. and it was amazing, the detail and just how sinister Goblin looked, and Dafoe carried it off without a hitch.
Oh, and crazy as hell too. Like he played the crazy part of Goblin perfectly.
Dafoe is so talented.
No doubt.
I mean, Mom is like the biggest Spider-Man fan I have ever met, and that's including like the 4 and 5-year-olds I know who run around dressed like Spider-Man, 360 days a year. Yeah, I feel called out. That's okay.
No, I was looking to see what I had behind me. If I had a Spider-Man thing I could pull out, all I got is a Green Goblin behind me.
No, all I've got is a Venom right here.
Yeah, whereas I'm currently sitting behind or with the Pokemon shelf behind me with all of the crazy big fat Pikachus that Mark has been collecting. But when Mom left this movie, she called all of us freaking out about it. We went and had dinner with her right after they left the theater, and she was just, oh my God. They saw it the day that it came out, or the day after it came out, and she was just, why do you have to, oh my, and that was pretty much the conversation at dinner that night. You can ask Tank. I'm not exaggerating. Those were Mom's whole sentences.
She volunteered to watch the kids so that me and Steph could go see it. He's got a Goblin. There it is.
Yeah. Nobody doubts your commitment to your nerddom or your geekiness.
Oh, and I loved the...
Oh, while we're showing off stuff, you have to see the coolest thing that Tank got me for Christmas.
Oh, wow. She-Ra, Princess of Power.
With a sword.
I like that.
And this is one that doesn't have a giant wad of gum in her hair. Because the one that I previously had from my childhood does. Like, I still have the one with the giant wad of gum in her hair. But this is the one that sits on my shelf.
Nice.
I'm going to paint the sword.
Well done, Tank. Well done.
Yeah. He even got me the book that goes with it and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, Tank did very good for Christmas this year. He got me She-Ra.
What I liked that Spider-Man did was it was all Peter Parkers. It wasn't any Miles. It wasn't any other Spider-Verse. It was all Peter. And Toby, God love him, I don't know what rock they dug Toby out from underneath, but that poor guy is not looking well. I hope they give him some more work because I think he's in trouble. I'm just saying.
What is he, 50 at this point?
I don't think he's that old.
I don't think he's that old, but I think if he's not careful, he's going to end up on a milk carton soon. Might want to put those numbers together. 20 years ago is when Spider-Man came out.
Yeah, hold on. I'm clicking on his button right now for the IMDb.
Almost 30 when
he's 46.
Playing Spider-Man.
He's 46.
46. That's pretty
not.
close.
It's not 50.
He's 46.
Ralph Macchio is older and looks better.
You're not wrong. Yeah, we will talk about that too.
We'll talk about that. But I think what Spider-Man did well was kind of, it gave us closure on the other spiders. It helped us move forward. It helped our Spider-Man really leap forward with a lot of stories. I mean, they tied. I mean, they could literally just walk away from this and just leave it where it's at, and it could be done.
Yeah, they packed a lot of Spider-Man into this movie.
They did. They tied a lot of it up. It's a fresh Spider-Man for the next one. I'm glad that bringing everybody back. I'm glad everybody signed for Spider-Man 4. And that just makes me happy to hear. But wow, it is a lot to take.
I'm wondering, and this has definitely been in the news, and it's definitely been in the rumor bin, but I think we're legitimately going to be getting a third Andrew Garfield.
You know what? I would like that, because I think what they did to his Spider-Man was a disservice. We at least got some closure with Tobey Maguire. As bad as Venom was, we were done. I was spent. But I really think that they did Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man dirty. And, I mean, they just left it with such a bad, like, ooh, that is...
And they left it open, too, with nothing, no closure at all on the second movie.
No, and then we get the closure now. I mean, I still wanted to see Paul Giamatti show up in the Rhino suit.
I know. I was hoping that was going to happen the whole time. I was kind of disappointed it didn't, honestly.
But I honestly think that we will see it, because I think Tom Hardy's Venom is from Andrew Garfield's Spider-Verse.
I also believe that Morbius exists in that Spider-Verse, because in that one they're calling Spider-Man a murderer.
Yes. So I think
they hinted at Garfield having a very dark incident occurring in his life where he went too far.
Well, and we don't know. I mean, he could be getting hung with Gwen Stacy's death because of how that ended. And maybe he did go too far. He even talks about it in the other Spider-Man. Yeah. So there is a chance. I wouldn't be upset to see him come back as Spider-Man. I would not be upset. I think it'll be confusing for a lot of fans, but I would be happy to see it.
Well, it'd be smart for Sony, honestly, if they can, to a certain extent, keep Tom in MCU Spider-Man, and then kind of develop their own thing outside of that. That's still live action. That's not just going to be the Miles Morales cartoon story. And that would give them a chance to kind of tell some more Spider-Man stuff and still have someone. So Andrew Garfield would still fit into that.
Well, and I think in the MCU we will see Venom come in just because of how they ended No Way Home.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at this point, I think we're outside of spoilers. There's a symbiote left behind.
Yes.
By Tom Hardy's Venom in the bar in Jamaica or wherever they are. So I wouldn't be surprised if the MCU does not bring in their own version of Venom, and I'm sure Sony's working a deal with them on that. I hope we see Andrew's Spider-Man with Morbius. I would like that better, because I'm not really digging this Morbius movie, but I've never been a big fan of Morbius, so I don't care. That'd be a good way to kind of make you have some stakes in it, though, is to kind of link his story. Same with the Kraven story, maybe.
Yes.
Have the Kraven, have that storyline be part of Andrew Garfield's story. Maybe that's when he went too far, is with Kraven.
Yeah, but Kraven killed himself in the comics. It wasn't Spidey.
No, but he also deals with that, very difficult thing and very negative space after that story.
That's true. Well, we'll see. We'll see what they decide to do. I'm very curious to see what moves they make.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different things that could happen. But I think all in all, we can say Spider-Man was definitely a very good MCU. Brought a lot of people back to the MCU.
Yeah.
And gave definitely better than their last movie in theaters.
Second highest earning movie opening weekend ever.
So
impressive.
So now let's go ahead and turn to the smaller screen. We'll stick with the MCU and pop over to Hawkeye, which I know Tank was super excited about. This was one of
I loved it.
his favorites to hit the MCU Disney Plus, other than WandaVision is what we had talked about.
Yeah, it ended the way that I'm okay with it ending. That you're not quite sure what happened, and they gave us Kingpin, they gave us Vincent D'Onofrio Kingpin, they gave us a glimpse of Daredevil showing up, which is really cool. Huh?
No, I was thinking of Spider-Man where he catches a brick.
Yeah. Matt, who is from My Brother's an Idiot podcast, who guested with us one night, was in firm agreement with Tank about how much he loved Hawkeye as a fellow nerd dad.
And I think that's what got me, is that it was so down to earth, and it was a Christmas story all the way through. Even with the background of everything that happened, it was a Christmas story. It was home for the holidays based in the Marvel Universe. They gave you some Die Hard. They gave you some, Christmas Vacation shenanigans. They gave you all those weird little Christmas stories that we love, but then they just kind of connected the Marvel Universe to it. And then they gave the new Black Widow agency. They gave Echo agency, to where their stories will now continue in a way that is seemingly interesting. The way they ended the 6th episode, which is, the Sopranos exit. We don't know what happens, but if you follow the comic books or have at any point, you kind of have an idea. They probably didn't sign D'Onofrio on to make 2 appearances, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So something very specific happens to Kingpin, and that creates a whole new storyline with Kingpin. And I think they did a good job, honestly. They did a good job of telling you a story that was a lot more down to earth.
So I did not enjoy the Black Widow movie. I thought it was kind of bleh. But watching the Black Widow character, what was it, Elena?
Elena.
In Hawkeye, I liked her a lot more in this than I did in the movie.
She was fun, actually, in this
series. Like, I liked her a lot more here than I did in the film.
And she beat his ass on that skating rink.
Like, I liked her interactions a lot with Kate Bishop.
Oh, yeah. Which is cool. I mean, that kind of gives you an interesting future plot to play with, too, is there's a new Hawkeye and a new Black Widow. And they know each other pretty well after a very short time together.
All right, Smurf, you have a face.
Yep. What's up?
It wasn't Hawkeye, it was the Kate Bishop show. And it was disappointing. There was so much filler. There was so much sitting around tables and talking. There was walking through halls and talking. There was icing wounds and talking. There was god-awful amounts of talking. It just, I know it's based off of Matt Fraction's Hawkeye, and it's fine. There are some very interesting angles, and I was on board up to episode 3 and 4, but then you have 6 episodes. Episode 4 was just filler, and they wasted the swordsman. They completely just punked the Kingpin. I know you hit him with a car, but come on, this is the Kingpin. You're telling me he's going to trash Daredevil in one of the best series of all time for Marvel, and Kate Bishop is going to take some of Kingpin's best hits and just get up? Bullshit.
He beat the shit out of her.
He did beat the shit out of her. He punched her and she flew through a fucking wall and just and gets back up.
And then she set a bomb off in his face.
Several, actually.
Several bombs.
And you're telling me that Kate Bishop is going to shrug off one of his best punches? No!
Do you really think it was one of his best punches, though? He was more like, get off me, little fly.
Yeah, he wasn't going full on her. He was shoe flying her the whole time.
Okay, so even at quarter strength, you're telling me a 20-year-old is going to take a punch from a guy who just got hit by a car and still gets up?
Well, I mean, she was a fairly trained athlete, especially in combat.
No, she was a gymnast.
No, she was a martial arts trained.
She was a martial artist. There was a lot of judo and...
So is Kingpin. Kingpin is a martial artist. Kingpin is trained in Kung Fu. He's a black belt. In fact, that was the whole thing with Echo, that he was there during her training because he was part of that family. He's part of the clan. So there were just so many letdowns. I wanted more. I was expecting more. And it was just, and I don't think they used Hawkeye. They just kind of clowned Hawkeye. It's the same thing we saw with Loki, that if we need a joke or a punchline, let's hit Loki. And I was just having issues at the end of it where Hawkeye just could have been Hawkeye. We didn't really see a whole lot of Hawkeye. We saw him more as a gag. We saw him when he was punking the one guy in the backseat of the car. That was great. That was Hawkeye. Hawkeye's a very capable expert in the field. He's more capable than anyone else in this series, and they just kind of clown him. It's just I was just having.
I think that was part of the story, though.
That
he's old now. That he is kind of run his course as this superhero, and he needs to pass it on to somebody else.
He wants to retire.
I don't think he's ran his course, but maybe. I mean,
I think that's what it was.
We just ended Infinity Endgame, within the last year, so he's still kind of in that shape. So you're talking about a guy dressed as Ronin taking out Yakuza and badasses all around the globe, and he's getting beat up by LARPers.
This is a 6-year gap.
Okay, so first off, it is the gap.
This is 6 years
Matt
later.
says Tank nailed it as far as that goes. Yeah, and you're right. This is 6 years later because this stupid fucking musical disgustingness exists, right? The Rogers,
that I'm not even going to talk about. That I'm not even bringing up.
Okay, but the whole point isn't that he's not in the physical condition to do it. It's that he wants to not be doing it anymore.
And that's fine, but we don't get that indication. They just make him out to look less capable than he is. And this is like an ongoing thing that Marvel is really starting to annoy me with. This isn't the first time we've seen it.
Okay.
And I'm hearing that this is going to be an ongoing trend. That's all.
I think that what we're seeing is less is Marvel's shitty way of trying to retire the existing Avengers and replacing them with the newer, younger ones.
That's exactly what it is.
He's retiring. And it's stupid.
Well, no, but he's retiring for a reason. He's retiring for his family. He wants out because he wants to be a dad. He wants to be a husband. He wants to go with his apparently ex-agent wife,
Mockingbird,
who, as we find out, is apparently Mockingbird in this universe, and just be a dad now. He doesn't want to be Hawkeye anymore. He stepped away from it on purpose. That's what I got out of it. And Kingpin ate an arrow from point blank range, so you can't say they completely punked him. He
had the armor underneath. He just knocked that thing off. Come on.
Well, he pulled it out. It went into his chest, and he pulled that shit out and threw it away.
It's the mithril armor that Kingpin has underneath that horrible choice of attire. All of the Kingpin suits over the decades to choose from, and you choose that god-awful...
I love the random Hawaiian shirt under the white tux. Made me laugh because that is stupid, but apparently they didn't get him into costuming until the day that he was filming. So they kind of had to go with what was available, apparently.
And probably what fit.
Yeah. It happened in the comics. He does do it. It's fine. Just, of all the things to choose from...
I agree. That was kind of rough, but yeah. And I like the fact that how they ended it with Echo, though. That's kind of cool. Where she has now figured out more about what happened to her dad and has found a new person to go after.
And we'll see if they. I mean, she gets her own series. We'll see where they take it. I'll be curious. I don't know what they're going to do. If we're going to see something similar to the David Mack series when he was doing Daredevil with Echo, or if we're going to see her kind of revert to the Ronin persona, which she was in the Avengers titles. So I'm very curious to see what they do.
I'm assuming what you said is how it's going to go. They're going to start with the Mac series and kind of get the Daredevil impact, and then move her over into the Avengers.
Hopefully,
that'd be my guess.
I'm just sad with how Hawkeye. I had higher expectations. That's all.
I understand that you wanted a little bit more badass out of Hawkeye.
Yes, I wanted Hawkeye to be Hawkeye.
He come out pretty good on that ice skating rink at the end.
Yeah.
He had his moments. Let's
like
just
the
say he
split
had
arrow.
his moments.
The split arrow shot was cool.
Yes.
He had to use the wood arrow, then the metal arrow, and split it and hit 3 people. That was pretty cool. That was fun.
I also appreciated the LARPers.
Well, one of those LARPers is a character in the comic books who his story doesn't end well. So it'll be interesting to see how they go with that.
So
I don't think
if he's going to be part of it or not. I will agree they punked out the swordsman, though, which is irritating as hell.
I feel like they didn't go into his story at all.
They did.
So let's just pretend like we don't even know what's happening there, and they'll go into it later.
He shows up at a party with a sword on his hip. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I know.
He's Hawkeye's mentor in the comics, and they just Nancify him. They made him just no.
Yeah, to me, he was the most disappointing character because he was literally the punchline of just this goofy dude who doesn't know what's going on. When in reality, he's one of the best fighters in Marvel Universe when it comes to hand-to-hand combat.
Yes, it's just the choices that they continue to make.
All right, fellas, let's move on to something else that we can get angry about. Let's see. Wheel of Time has reached its conclusion.
I'm gonna go get a refill. You two talk about this because I have absolutely no opinion on this for the first time ever, and my glass is empty.
Did you watch it?
Yes, and I'm just you know what? Okay, here's my thought, and then you can expand on this.
Probably gonna be my thought too. Let's see.
I sat there after it ended. I turned off the TV. I shut off all the lights in the house, and I sat there in the dark, and I scratched my head and went, "What the fuck did I just watch?" Yeah, that's about it for about an hour.
Okay.
And now he needs more vodka.
You are more of an expert on this than I am, so I would like to hear your opinion.
Okay, so I have read the books. It has been a while. But I don't remember it being this convoluted. And especially the last couple of episodes, I had to rewind things a lot to make sure I was understanding what was going on. Because I felt like they tried to just smush everything together. And I just...
See, so that doesn't make me feel bad because I've never read the books.
Okay.
I was confused by what the main plot of the story is by the end of the first series there. I don't fully understand what the point of about half of what happened is.
Yeah, so So I think that we can just say that Amazon's goal to create the next Game of Thrones has epically failed.
So is it okay? Because I haven't looked into this. Fans of the series, has there been backlash on that side?
Yeah, so most of the fans of the book series are not loving the TV show.
Okay, so because it confused the shit out of me.
So, yeah. That's my response.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, fans of the books are not loving the TV series. It has already started filming season 2, so we're at least going to get something.
Okay, well, hopefully season 2 will explain season 1.
I hope season 2 and season 3 explain season 1. Because I don't know what the fuck I was watching. Holy crap.
No, I don't get it. I don't understand the story.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem. Like, I get that there's a bunch of stories happening all at once. I'm fine with that. I can follow that usually if they kind of keep the stories in sync. But I don't understand.
Yeah.
At some point, they seem to have lost the thread. And I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, I've read the books and I don't exactly know what happened.
Okay. To be fair, we've seen people move stories along faster than this. We've seen it in Game of Thrones. We've seen it in Dune. We've seen it in a lot of things, and they're just, my God, the first episode was just long and way more laborious than it needed to be. And I thought episode 2 was going to get better, and it did, but it still was dragging. And then 3 really dragged, and it's just like, fuck me! I don't have this kind of time. I can feel my arteries hardening watching this. Fuck. No. We know. I mean, even The Hobbit moved faster than this. Even Lord of the Rings moved faster than this. What the hell are they doing to this poor series that everybody loves? Why? That's all I gotta ask. Why? Hashtag why?
All right, we are putting in hashtag why on my notes here.
I will say it picked up a little bit, the pacing, but you're not wrong. The first 3 episodes, I was like, holy shit, it's Lord of the Rings again.
Parts of it were interesting.
But they picked it up a little bit, but when they started picking up the story, it started getting confusing. That was the problem. It's like, oh, I appreciate the quickening of pace, but I don't understand what's happening now.
I mean, even as much as, okay, and I know we're going to get to it, Witcher, first season, we jumped around in the timeline, okay?
Yeah. Right, but so does the book.
Yes. Yeah. There was significant jumpings backwards and forwards, different timelines, but at the end, it was a payoff. At the end, it all made sense. In fact, I think it was by episode 4, we had figured out, okay, this is going on at different points in time, all moving towards something bigger, which we got as a payoff.
Oh, yeah.
There was no payoff. There was nothing. I'm just sitting. Can I have some more, please? Oh. I don't understand what the hell I watched. I don't get it. I really don't. And my butt hurts from sitting so much watching this. That's the worst part of it. I need comfier cushions, obviously.
All right. Well, your Christmas present for me this year is not comfier cushions, but as a gift to you, we will start talking about The Witcher instead.
Which, you know what? I was immensely pleased with. The swagger has returned, and it was worth the wait. I mean, what?
That dude is too fucking much, man.
I love me some Witcher.
I mean, this show is just going to make it on just Henry Cavill's charm and swagger. Fuck The Rock's smolder. We've got Cavill swagger. All right, that is. There it is. Can the swagger, fuck the smolder.
That is a man who dirties down good. Oh,
outrageous! How much you're like, okay. then you're right. The swagger, it's the charm, it's the attitude, it's the confidence. You're just like, fuck, dude. All right,
dude. That moment. What was it? The last episode, second to last episode, where he has the sword with Yennefer and I'm just like, okay.
I'm surprised he can even move in that suit. That if he farts or breathes wrong, that thing is just gonna rip right off of him.
I know. God bless the costume mistress of that show.
Yeah, I'm assuming they got that hawk duct tape down because there's no way that it's
Hashtag God bless leather.
Because there's any way that he even got a partial stiffy. That thing's springing loose for damn sure.
I don't think I've ever seen The Witcher run. I don't. Now that you mention it,
this is why he rides the horse while Jaskier has to walk.
No, yeah, he can't run.
But see, he's got that. It does motion. He uses his whole body to move.
He moves quickly.
Does
he swaggers with speed?
Swaggers with intent.
Weird because I had a weird thought when that was happening, the swaggering thing. It made me think of, even though he's a bad guy, it made me think of Gaston. Like, because he's got that overabundance of confidence that when he walks into a room, he knows that he's the baddest motherfucker there without even questioning it.
And when I went into the beginning of The Witcher series, again, another, 8 episodes?
Yeah, sounds right.
But they do a fair amount of storytelling, and they expand on a lot of premises. There's not a whole lot of jumping around, and I like it. I honestly thought I was going to dislike it because it didn't really move like I wanted. But at the end of it, you're like, all right, well, yeah, that was worth the watch.
That was a lot more linear.
I am ready for season 3 already. That the last 15 seconds, I saw it coming.
Oh yeah.
You know what I noticed on those that final scene?
Right.
The other two were sitting down, and he has to lean up against the wall because he can't sit in those pants. They had him lean up. They had the cliff and everything destroyed around him, but oddly enough, there was this little perch.
Just enough. Yep.
Perfectly lean his buttocks on because he could not sit down with the other two.
No.
If he goes down, he ain't getting back up, and something's ripping.
Yeah, the crotch would rip out of that thing if he tried to sit down.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure most of the watchers, the viewers of that show, would be completely fine if those pants happened to just, fly off.
What I did like is Boxer's song this season. It's an elevated from the Toss a Coin to the Witcher. It's the breakup song we have all sung in our car at the top of our lungs. Yeah, and it is glorious. And I just love the interactions between Yennefer and Boxer. It was perfect. And I honestly was waiting for one of the others to kill one of each other. It was great.
Yeah. I love that. Good luck. Goodbye. Good riddance.
No, it was a fun story. It moved a little bit. It didn't move at a huge pace, but it was more linear than the first season.
It was. I very much enjoyed this season, and like I said, I'm ready for the next season.
Yeah, same here.
There's some great reveals, and there was so much more expansion on the Convergence, and there were elements pulled from the books and the games that I appreciated that they kind of threw it in there subtly, and we kind of get the Baba Yaga story a bit with the house with the legs, and I'm just like, okay, that's even more cooler. So I'm like, I'm in. I liked it. I liked it more than I thought it was going to suck, but it didn't. Thank God.
Yeah, I appreciated the little homages to the video game series that they kind of placed in there.
Yep. We have a friend staying with us for a little while, and they're like, yeah, after watching that season, I want to go out and get the game again.
Oh yeah, so I want to play Witcher 3 again, just because.
So
you just want to do the naughty, dirty, naked stuff in that game again, don't you?
No, the high end adventure is more my milieu.
dude, it's okay. I won't tell my sister. You can do the naughty, dirty stuff. It's chill. Speaking of naughty, dirty stuff, let's talk about Cobra Kai.
I
Absolutely.
haven't finished it yet, but my God, I mean,
I'm going to
When
guess
Garbage
naughty,
looks
dirty
so
stuff
good.
doesn't happen in Cobra Kai.
oh my God, it's just outrageously awful people that shouldn't exist. That just continue to
It's
exist.
so fun to watch.
It is your favorite garbage fire, and it's entertaining as hell.
Terry
And-
Silver is such a piece of shit.
He is. I mean, there's not a redeemable character in this freaking show at all. I was thinking of resurrect Pat Morita so we could bring in Mr. Miyagi and like, whoa, you all suck, and he kicks all their asses and shows them how.
No, but Terry Silver somehow made me feel bad for John Cleese. And I'm like, I don't understand that because he's a piece of shit. But the way that he just backstabbed the fuck out of that dude, it was brutal.
And I don't know if everyone likes this show because it just emphasizes, like, if you had the opportunity to be this bad and get away with it, would you?
It makes me. I don't know. I don't know. It makes me feel weird in that way because it kind of does. You kind of see it like, God, you could be that much of a bastard and still get what you want at the end? Good Lord.
I mean, all of a sudden, I want to like slick my hair back all the way into a ponytail and just talk trash to everybody.
Oh yeah, I got the ponytail. It's not quite white enough yet, but.
Oh, so there is some interesting news that I have heard about Cobra Kai. That we've got what's her name from Karate Kid 4. I can't think of her name at the moment.
Hilary Swank?
Yeah, Hilary Swank.
Yes, Hilary Swank. Hilary Swank will not be making an appearance as her character in Cobra Kai, but she is interested in taking a role in Cobra Kai somewhere. Yeah. So they're calling it the Miyagi-verse, so that people who have interacted and have touched in Miyagi's life all should kind of, at some point, evolve into the show.
As long as we don't... Okay, I'm cool with Jackie Chan, as long as we don't get Jaden Smith.
So, Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith's Karate Kid does not exist in the Miyagi-verse, so we will not get a Jackie Chan.
I'm just saying bring Jackie Chan, not as Mr. Miyagi, just bring Jackie Chan into it, because why the fuck not?
Because he's Jackie Chan, I mean.
Because he's Jackie Chan.
Because Jackie Chan, and he's got to micromanage and control all the aspects of anything he is involved in. That's why he hasn't shown up in the Marvel-verse.
True.
There's rumors about him showing up for Shang-Chi, the second installment, but there's so many things that Jackie Chan expects because, well, he's Jackie fucking Chan. You give him what he wants. You let him take control because
you give him the bowl of green Skittles.
You pretty much do. And why wouldn't you? But if you're the mouse, you don't give control to any fucker. I own it. Kiss my tail.
Not even to Bill Murray.
Not even to Bill Murray.
It was the exact same way. And they said, no, you're going to do this. Exactly this. And that's all. And that's all.
Nope.
But it's fun, though. I preferred the fighting scenes in season 3. But they did a good job with the tournament in season 4. They did a good job of kind of presenting the tournament in the last couple episodes that I really appreciated, and giving the redemption arc to Eli at this point, he's no longer Hawk, was pretty cool.
It kind of reads like a bad Power Rangers series, doesn't it?
In certain ways.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Hashtag bad Power Ranger.
Yep, writing it down.
But
I really like that they showed up at, you know, Miyagi's old house to talk shit. And it, there's just so many things that is so wrong, but is so right about this series. I don't know.
Because it does a really, really good job of playing off nostalgia.
It does.
And that
I mean, that's what got it off of YouTube in the first place.
Well, and it does it. It keeps you invested because it keeps tapping into its history, but it does it intelligently. It does it at the right points, and it does it in a way that it makes sense to their story.
It does. It made sense in the Miyagi-verse, which really raises an eyebrow because one of the biggest fans of Cobra Kai, oddly enough, is Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
And they've actually given a message. The cast of Cobra Kai have all said thank you to Andrew Garfield for being a fan. We love you. You're great. And there's talks that Andrew Garfield may make an appearance on Cobra Kai if Ralph Macchio has any say in this.
What are they possibly going to have him do in that story?
Deliver a newspaper. Does it matter?
Does it matter? He's like a big man. He wouldn't care.
Oh my God. What they need to do, because that is a Sony production, they need to have him at a kid's birthday party as Spider-Man.
Right,
Tank, I love the way you think.
Tank wins that one. That's perfect.
All right.
Oh my God.
I don't think we can say anything more about Cobra Kai. I think that was like the cherry on the top of that sundae. So let's go ahead and pop over to Disney Plus and talk about Boba Fett.
So cool. Honestly, it is. Boba Fett is... I love what they're bringing out of their back catalog to this point. I don't want to say what happened in episode 2 because that's pretty cool.
First episode, we get a lot of answers.
Mm-hmm.
We get so many fillers.
Yeah, lots of filler.
Lots of fillers, and I'm excited to see if we actually do get a Bomar Monk, which is great. Which is this guy right here. I really want to see that guy actually show up in the show. But really, what bothers me, and this is a question I wanted to ask you, Tank and Bobby. Why does Jabba's palace seem so empty? Even with Bib Fortuna still running the joint, where is everybody?
Dead, I'm assuming.
But I mean,
it doesn't make sense.
No, it's very empty. It's very empty.
There should at least be the servants and the slave peoples, tending to it.
Well, my assumption is that once Jabba died, everyone fled. That's the only thing I could get to. And then the ones that didn't are the very few people that are still existing in...
I mean, I know a fair amount of everybody went up on the sail barge.
Yeah, and so the comment that we have
from the sail barge, though, apparently.
I was going to say, the comment we have from one of our viewers right now is a lot of them died in the barge fires.
But we still get Max Rebo somehow survived.
Max Rebo survived. That was the one that I was like, what the fuck?
There he is. He's jamming. I was ecstatic. Max Rebo survived, everybody.
Oh, and the torture droid is still there.
Torture droid's still there.
Which is important.
He's elevated in stature. He's no longer torturing droids. But if you got a new guy, and correct me if I'm wrong, you got a new guy in charge, you're buttering up the new guy and hanging out with him. making him feel good and riding on his coattails. So I'm surprised that there wasn't like a whole new crowd of butt kissers in there.
Yes.
You know?
So where are the butt kissers?
Well, apparently they're going with the idea of. Once again, that goes into the second series. They kind of explain what's happening in the second episode.
And I think there may be a bigger picture here. There's a lot of sub-stories going on, especially we get kind of hints of it with the Tusken Raiders from the first episode, that we're getting all that stuff. I'm waiting for some Jawas to show up to whoop that ass. That's right. Fear the Jawa. Fuck the ninjas. Fear the Jawa. And I'm really waiting to see them kind of expand more on Tatooine and all of that. So I can't
wait to talk about episode 2.
Yeah, we can't talk about the second episode yet. We promise no spoilers.
That is the second. The second episode does so much to open the universe for probably future storylines, I'm assuming.
To distract you guys from spoiling episode 2, 2 of our viewers right now are actually the idiot brothers from My Brother's an Idiot. And they're kind of going back and forth on Twitch right now. Torture Droid was still there. Torture Droid wasn't on the barge. Max Rebo is unstoppable. All caps, exclamation point.
Max Rebo is unstoppable. Yeah. Well, and of course the Torture Droid wasn't on the sail barge. It was Bizzard torturing droids. Of course not. Come on.
So we have the idiot brothers from My Brother's an Idiot. The sports podcast who sometimes comes on and joins us because Max Rebo is made of flame and resistance.
Well, I do love that they give the immediate payoff on how did Boba survive.
Well, and they had to.
Yeah, but then they hit it like immediately. Like, oh no, he gets his way out because that's what he's trained to do.
Got fucked up, no doubt about it. But the interesting thing is the stormtrooper that's hanging out in there.
That made me laugh.
The stormtrooper that's there, you're like, oh, hey, well, they're the guys that were looking for the droids.
Yeah, that made me laugh so hard.
So we have I Miss Salacious Crumb, and I really hope Crumb comes back.
Crumb is dead.
Crumb's dead, I believe.
Crumb's dead.
That little bastard could have gotten launched like a paratrooper.
Well, maybe.
Talking about the stormtrooper in the stomach, not Salacious Crumb.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, that was.
Sorry.
Very
so many comments happening along the wall here.
And I mean, to be fair, we're getting what we wanted because out of all the characters in Star Wars, and I remember, okay, I remember going to the theater and seeing Empire Strikes Back. Okay, and I am 3 rows from the screen, and I'm looking up at what is going to become a fascination for the remainder of my geek life of all of these bounty hunters. None of them spoke. None of them did shit. They just stand there and look pretty. And Boba Fett, out of the blue, now is immense. He's spectacular. We love him. And I want them to give him ample justice. And Favreau and Filoni are doing just that. It's great.
They're doing a good job so far.
They are doing a good job. I want them to come out faster.
I'm so excited about talking about episode 2 just because of
which we will do next week.
The appearance, the sudden appearance of a very furry being was awesome.
Which we will talk about next week.
Yes. Your helmet is shinier than mine. Dirty. So dirty. And you know what was really odd for me? And maybe this was just me, but this seemed really tame for something that was directed by Rodriguez.
Yeah, but they probably have guidelines for Rodriguez on this.
Maybe, I don't know. I figured we would have seen a little bit more.
We saw blood in a Star Wars movie, in a Star Wars thing.
I did laugh today that I saw someone sent me a message, and I saw it later posted around the net, was I dare Disney to give Boba an R rating. I freaking dare the mouse, because they're just like, just do it. This would be so perfect. Let him go. Just take the chain off.
This would be a good time to do it.
I agree.
Maybe we will get a. They have amped up the violence compared to other Star Wars productions, though. So.
Well, it's kind of hard to be involved in the seedy underbelly of the Star Wars universe and not get a little dirty. Even in the video games, there's some darkness there.
Mm-hmm. But it's definitely worth a watch if you are a Star Wars fan. It's following in a similar vein, yet completely separate from The Mandalorian. Yeah. It's giving you a character and giving you a story that you didn't have before, but it's going to be connected still.
So my final fan theory, and then we can move off of Boba Fett. There was a trailer at the very end, before Boba Fett launched, that showed a particular female. My theory is
about Drash.
That is Mara Jade. I think that is Mara Jade, because in the books she's left at Jabba's palace. She was there to kill Luke. Everything went sideways, and she got stuck there. I think Mara Jade is going to come out of this. I know Lucas hates her, but a lot of the fans love her, and she's like that one character that hasn't been kind of put in yet that could tip the scales. And it works with the timeline.
If it's the same female that I'm thinking about, I actually have a different perspective. I think that is Dr. Aphra.
Oh, which is another good, solid possibility. Because of the comic book series, everything on and all of the hype around Dr. Aphra.
Well, and the character appearance in episode 2 has a connection to Dr. Aphra.
That's true.
Well, we shall wait and see.
Which, by the way, if you've never read those books, it's 2016, and where they start doing the Dr. Aphra stuff. Pretty cool. It's basically like Indiana Jones and Star Wars. I mean, it's pretty fun.
Well, our viewers are saying that Smurf knows that they won't give this an R rating.
I know. I can hope.
But one thing that we do know has a solid R rating, and this is why you will not find it on the House of Mouse, and that is The Boys. Season 3 has been delayed. We will not be getting it this month.
I'm not surprised with that.
No, I'm not either, but it's disappointing. God, I've been wanting The Boys.
Boys and Umbrella Academy.
Yep, both have been pushed back.
Yep.
Invincible's still coming out at the same time, right?
Have not heard.
That one has not been moved, I don't believe.
It hasn't been moved, but
that's that we're not getting that till late spring, I thought. So,
out of all of the shows coming back, that is probably the one that for year 2022, that is my one that I'm most anxious to see. The Boys and Umbrella Academy have already set levels. I'm expecting them to hit all 10 points. But out of all of them, I'm most excited to see what we get. Invincible is where I'm most anxious to see.
Invincible is going to be fantastic. Again, we have the idiot brothers taunting one another because apparently The Boys is the older idiots. It's his boo, to which he replies with, "God's damn it." He's very upset that The Boys has been delayed.
Do we call them Idiot 1 and Idiot 2? How do we address the idiots?
It is their screen names on Twitch are Poffeltime and Poffalopicus.
Okay, I like Idiot 1 and Idiot 2 to go with Dr. Seuss. So.
That works for me. Yeah, King Goon and Goldagoon is what they go by when they join us.
Got it. I like that they go from Dr. Seuss to Battlestar Galactica. I appreciate that.
Goldagoon is more Star Trek, but that's okay.
I'm willing to wait for the boys. I really am. There's still a lot of catch up. I'm still not caught up on Lock and Key. There's the new animated that's based off of the saltiest RPG game on the planet, and there's a lot of other things I need to catch up on. Yeah.
So. But I believe that we have caught up on our list of things for this evening. I have a bunch of notes and hashtags and things that I think are fantastic. Hashtag Spangler is a goner. Hashtag Bad Power Rangers. As well as a few others that you guys don't even realize the things that come out of your mouth end up being written on my list until after it gets posted.
Yeah. When I see it come up, that's when I giggle. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good. Are there any other questions from the interwebs?
Basically just everybody saying that whoever is not caught up on all of the various things that we talked about up to this point, it's their own damn fault. They had plenty of time.
In their defense, episode 2 of Boba Fett came out this morning.
Sure. Well, I believe that they're discussing Spider-Man, Matrix, Ghostbusters, Witcher, Wheel of Time, Hawkeye, and or Cobra Kai.
No, we're out of sight of spoiler season on that. If you haven't watched it, I'm sorry. Too bad.
Yep. And on that bombshell, we shall say goodnight.
Find us.
Entertained you. Give us a like. Give us a share. We are the nerds that know. In the meantime, run fast, laugh hard, and always be kind. Good night.
Find us on all of the socials. We are the Nerds That Know on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, and all of the other things. See you next week.